थोडं दूर. नमस्ते. I welcome you all on the platform of Ayush Darpan Foundation of India, Ayush Darpan Journal. I am Dr. Sheetal Asutkar, Professor Dr. Sheetal Asutkar at Sri Ayurved College, Nagpur, India. Today, on the World Piles Day, I am honored to be addressing the Facebook fraternity on a topic close to my heart, being a proctologist, that is hemorrhoids. So I welcome you all on this forum of Ayush Darpan Foundation of India. So as a proctologist, it is always a challenge to deal with patients of hemorrhoids. The name itself indicates the complexity of symptoms and the gravity of the disease. If the patient is not understanding, but being medical fraternity, we can understand the gravity and complexity of the disease by its symptoms, because hemorrhoids is a condition which is the name is attributed to the tortuosity of the hemorrhoidal veins, the complex plexus, that is superior hemorrhoidal veins and inferior hemorrhoidal veins. It is the complex plexus, and these veins are the tributaries of the portal venous system, and these are prone to getting tortuous and elongated and dilated by the virtue of certain causative factors. So that's why hemorrhoids is a condition where patient himself feels like having something coming out of anus, or a patient can tell us about the feeling of mass at the perianal region or anal verge. So this is a condition where the patient loses blood from the rectal region. So bleeding PR is the prominent feature in the conditions of hemorrhoids, we can say, and this is the symptom which is the alarming feature of the disease, and which makes the patient afraid of the disease, with the loss of huge amounts of blood with each of his visits to his toilets. So the sight of the huge amount of blood, that is the fresh frank bleeding, which the patient sometimes is able to see, and then it makes him afraid of the disease. What exactly I am having, because the patient may lose quantity of blood, appreciable quantity of blood with each of his visits to the toilets. So sometimes these patients avoid going to toilets with this fear, and then this is the feature when the patient is losing blood, and the chronicity of this disease attributes anemia to the patient. So this is the direct blood loss with the stools, and sometimes after the passage of stools the patient may lose blood for some time, so that the clothing even is affected. The clothing even is having stains of blood, and it makes the patient getting fear or making him afraid of the condition, and then he visits the doctors. So it may be the bleeding PR, and it may be the anemia even, which makes the disease more grave and more complex. So usually it is the painless bleeding PR. It is 99% it is the painless bleeding PR, unless and until the hemorrhoids are complicated, it is said bleeding PR. But once it gets complicated, so the bleeding PR will be supervened with the painful and tender and hard pile mass, and which will be visible as purplish and discolored pile masses, or balls of the ball-like appearances of the piles or hemorrhoids, and that will be tender to touch. So this is the finding of a clinician, but usually when it is acute in condition, or when the patient is suffering with hemorrhoids for the first time, in life, it is usually the bleeding which is the predominant feature of hemorrhoids. Even in Ayurveda, it is said that arivat pranan harati iti arsha. So the disease is called as arsha in Ayurveda because it can take the life of the patient, like a shatru, it can be said, or like you can say this condition is life threatening for the patient in some or the other way, it can be said, because that's why it is called as arsha. And in Ayurveda, acharyas have given 4 treatment modalities for arsha, but that we will be discussing later on. First of all, being a proctologist or being a proctosurgeon, I would like to highlight that most of the times, means the fraternity which is visiting to me for consultation ranges from the all arenas of society, right from the housewives to the laborers to the office bearers to the business fraternity, and to the even the higher class society who are having sedentary lifestyle and who are leading a very very peaceful life, or you can say a non-struggled life they are leading, but then they are suffering from this disease. So all the factors of the society, all the people from the society who are contributing in some or the other way in the socio-economy, they are suffering with hemorrhoids, and no patient, or rather no socio-economical class is bar, or no even the Shramajivi can suffer, or rather a Buddhijivi also suffers from hemorrhoids, it is said. So all the accountability of the disease is attributed to the lifestyle and to the causative factors of the disease. So what are they? So when I'm saying, and when I have enlisted the symptomatology, I must be enlisting the causative factors also. So one of the predominant causative factors here is the constipation. So straining for stools is one of the causes of hemorrhoids. And why the patient strains for stool? So in Ayurveda, it is labeled as the say in Marathi we called as kunthan, or in Ayurveda they have labeled as malabaddhata as one of the causes, but in modern science we call it as straining for stools due to the constipation rather, or sometimes the patients are not able to having the urge of visiting toilets for days together, and that's why they have to strain. Whenever they go, they have developed the habit of straining for stool, and all this is because of the lack of dietary fiber through which they are going day by day. So lack of dietary fiber is one of the major causes of constipation nowadays. And secondly, sedentary lifestyle. The type of food they consume, the timings of the food they have, all are disturbed, or all are irregular in pattern, we can say. Then high protein diet, at the same time when the proteins are not say complementary fiber is not consumed along with proteins, then the high protein diet even is responsible for the occurrence of constipation in these diseases. And usually it is the lifestyle, like when the patient is office bearer, or when the patient is having some high profile job which is demanding him to be awake at night for hours together to do his or her work on the PCs and laptops nowadays, and then they keep awakened at night for long hours. They are going through the tough times, the job demands, the job pressure, peer pressure, many things are there. The students, they are awake at night for their studies, and then along with that, when they are hungry at the night hours, they consume some food. So all these things, it is going to disturb the digestive power of the person, and at the same time, it is going to do the Vata Prakop in the digestive system. According to Ayurveda, it is the Vata Prakop which is responsible for the constipation or Malabaddhata the patient is suffering. Along with this, lack of dietary sneha or ghrut or ghee we can say. So go ghrut is the most indicated thing, and it is advocated to have 10 ml ghrut at least in our daily diet. But nowadays the generations are diet freaky generations. They are always after their fitness, and they are very much conscious about consuming the ghee and oils in their diets, and that's why lack of dietary ghee or sneha or oils we can say is one of the major causes of constipation again. So when the patient is awake for long hours in the night, and then when the patient is then having some food at night, the patient can be say hopelessly some students or some young generation patients, they are fond of spicy food, then junk food like pizzas, noodles, Chinese and burgers and whatnot. All these are the major causes of constipation in this generation, along with obesity, which is the major cause of constipation nowadays, and lack of dietary fiber. Then all these things, they are high protein diet, and along with the, according to Ayurveda, maida is not indicated for dietary stuff, but we have always stressed about the use of wheat and jowar in our diet. But then nowadays the pizza bases and noodles and all, they contain the maida, which is the basic content of the food, all that food, and which is not an easy task for the digestive system to digest this food. And then regular consumption of all these things is a challenge for the person's digestive system, along with the deranged lifestyle and the stress factor. So because we need to understand the causative factors of hemorrhoids, and that's why I'm elaborating the lifestyle and the diet, which are very much responsible for the causation of constipation. And then constipation is the major cause leading to hemorrhoids. So all these type of diet and then lifestyle and then stress. So it can be the working stress, it can be the household stress, it can be the study stress for a student, it can be a performance stress for a office bearer, or it can be alcoholism, a sort of alcoholism along with protein diet, with high protein diet, which and the spicy food which the patient is consuming, and sometimes the long fasting intervals. These are also the causes. Like students, they avoid eating, they have to attend classes, they have to go for more demanding type of their say profile, whatever the students are expected to do. So there are long fasting intervals in between. And housewives, those who opt for more fasting, like Navratri and like month-long Ramzan Rojas in our Muslim community, Navratris and other fastings like fasting periods, fasting festivals who require females to be fasting for long periods. All these are responsible as a causative factors for constipation. And most of the time post Deepavali, because Deepavali, all of us know, most of the times most people are fond of this festival because of the plenty of food stuff, the spicy and the very special foodstuffs which are prepared at each and every homes here in Maharashtra and all over India, I can say. And people are very much fond of this festival. But post Deepavali, there are a lot of post Navratri and post Deepavali, there is always a flood of patients of anorectal disorders, and particularly fissures and hemorrhoids, because these conditions, they are exacerbated after the spicy and fried and crispy type of vatal ahar, I can say, food which we consume, like chuda, chakli and laddus and many more things like shankarpalas and everything whatever we prepare in Diwali. So it is consumed for a month-long period almost, and then there is a flood of these patients. I have experienced after Navratri, there were so many female patients who used to come to me and get operated because these were chronic patients. So these are certain causative factors which are responsible for the occurrence of hemorrhoids, even rather constipation, I can say. And then because this disease, it is said it can be occurring due to certain factors like constipation, obesity, pregnancy, and then there can be certain other factors like this. It is said that some diseases run in families. So hemorrhoids is such a disease which runs in families. So if the first degree relative is affected, then it is likely that the offspring will be affected with hemorrhoids. So you have to being patients, they have to be alert about the occurrence of the disease, and they have to modify their lifestyle and modify their diet patterns according to the family history. Even we can advocate when the patient comes to us for the first time, so we can take the family history and we can take other history, and even then we can advocate them to adjust their lifestyles according to the disease. But then because it is said that it never occurs in quadrupeds, so that's why humans being we being the mammals and we being the this particular system, vascularity of this thing, and this particular portal venous system, and this hemorrhoidal plexus being the branches of portal venous system, so they are not supported with valves and it has to run against the gravity. So these are again the most common geographical region, not geographical, we can say the morphological reasons why this occurs in humans, and that's why we have to protect the things, protect the individuals in those ways. They need to be counseled about the things. So progesterones in pregnancy even play major role in the occurrence of hemorrhoids in those women. So first degree hemorrhoids usually are found in pregnant women in first to second trimester of pregnancy, and sometimes they need to be operated even with sclerotherapy or sclerosants, or some conservative type of management needs to be given to these patients. So it is usually the causes which needs to be ruled out. So Ayurveda tells us about the Nidan Parivarjan and Swasthasya Swasthya Rakshan. Both these fundamentals are very much important in treating the hemorrhoids also. So being the Ayurveda student, and I would always be a student of Ayurveda. I am proud to be a student of Ayurveda, and I am proud to be practicing Ayurveda in my life. And so I would always advocate even all of you to be practicing Nidan Parivarjana in treating this disease. So you have to first of all diagnose the causative factors whatever are there, and then if you needs to be managed, there must be some strategies about the management of the disease. And so if the status of the patient is acute or chronic, then the management depends on the status of the individual. So that you have to ask whether the patient is having this condition for first time in life, or whether the patient is having these episodes of bleeding per rectum and filling of mass which will be causing discomfort to the patient. So whether the patient is having it for the first time in life, or whether they are the recurrent episodes, or whether it is the chronic condition. So that this condition can be so chronic because it can be managed conservatively with modification of lifestyle and some medications. So the patient can harbor this condition within his body for so long. So that I have seen one of the patients male patients, I was surprised to see a male patient who came to me brought by his wife, having hemorrhoids, 4th degree hemorrhoids since 18 years of life. and to my surprise, he was so pale the patient was that he was investigated, and I suspected him to be severely anemic, and the patient was having 3.5 grams of hemoglobin. So this was like a surprise, say shock to me. So shockingly, then everything was investigated. So if these conditions occur, you have to again reinvestigate the patient for certain other things like his cardiac status, then his x-rays, and his other anemia profile needs to be done sometime, and then other profiles also like his kidney functions and liver functions and everything. And then we have to administer the blood transfusions to these patients. The patients need to be given symptomatic management along with the you have to admit the patient to the IPD, and then you have to keep the patient under observation and need to give other medications like IV fluids, antibiotics according to the requirement. So then this patient was managed according to the needs. He was administered with whole blood, and then other things were managed, and later on, after 1 month of his management, the patient was operated for hemorrhoids, and then the patient was absolutely okay later on, and then discharged. So such is the management according to the gravity of the disease. So according to the indications, if the patient is having first degree hemorrhoids, then we have to do the sclerotherapy, which is indication. Sclerosants need to be administered under local anesthesia, even it can be done, or sometimes we have to give spinal anesthesia, because when the patient, as I have said, pregnancy is one of the causes. So when most of the ladies who suffer with hemorrhoids and bleeding PR in pregnancy, they usually come to us post delivery with the same symptoms, and then if the hemorrhoids is the cause there of bleeding PR, sometimes first to second degree hemorrhoids which are bleeding severely, so we have to go for sclerotherapy under spinal anesthesia. And I have operated so many ladies in these cases with hemorrhoids post pregnancy, in their postpartum status, who come to us. Then if it is second to third degree hemorrhoids, which is the causes of bleeding PR as well as prolapse, if it is second or third degree prolapse, if it is there, then we have to go for Milligan-Morgan hemorrhoidectomy, and we have to go for excision and transfixation method sometimes we do, and all these procedures are surgical procedures, and we need to do it under spinal anesthesia, proper medication, proper anesthesia. There are certain requirements of anesthesia, so we need to go for all these things, investigations, and then IPD management. And if it is a fourth degree hemorrhoid, so no matter whatever is the cause of the thing, you need to operate the thing. So you have to operate, we have to go for Milligan-Morgan method again, and we have to give, sometimes it is the internal-external hemorrhoid which is painful, which is having bleeding, the patient is having bleeding, and it is the source of great discomfort to the patient when it is an external hemorrhoid or when it is a fourth degree hemorrhoid. So we have to go for, anyway we have to go for surgery in these patients. So all these are the methods which we go for these patients, because certain diseases are attributed as surgical diseases and treatment option is surgery by choice. So we have to go for surgery, and we have to go according to the need of the patient and according to the choice of the patient. So certain nowadays patients prefer laser for surgery, so we go for laser hemorrhoidoplasty. Sometimes we go for hemorrhoidopexy even. So laser are nowadays very much preferred methods of surgery by patients, and we have to go according to the need. And then sometimes it is and I must not forget to highlight the use of Kshara Sutra in even treating the patient. So it is usually the second degree external hemorrhoid, internal hemorrhoids, which we prefer going for Kshara Sutra and not the external hemorrhoids, because pain will be the feature, and severe pain the patient may not tolerate post-operatively. So that's why it is the second degree internal hemorrhoids to even whatever degree the patient is suffering from. It is usually the second degree to third degree hemorrhoids and internal hemorrhoids which are preferred for Kshara Sutra treatment. And then how would I say I would like to insist the use of Sushrutokta Chatusutri in the management of Arsha. Acharya Sushruta has highlighted the use of Aushad, Kshar, Agni and Shastra Karma in the management of hemorrhoids. So we have to go for the, as we laxatives, and Ayurveda has got plenty of laxatives in its pharmacopoeia, and the preferred one, the most preferred one is the use of Triphala Churna in the management of constipation in these patients. And also it is used in the Avgaha Sved, the seeds bath which we give to every patient of anorectal disorder in the management section of according to Ayurveda. So Triphala Churna is the most preferred drug because of its effectivity and because of its cheapness. So this is a very cost effective drug and most efficacious drug in the management of hemorrhoids and even other anorectal disorders, even I must say. And then there are certain other drugs like Gandharva Haritki Churna, Panchasakar Churna. So all these are the medications which we go for the choice according to the need or according to the staging of constipation even. So there can be, these are certain like drastic purgatives like Panchasakar Churna, or there can be some mild laxatives like Triphala Churna. Even Gandharva Haritki is the most preferred one because it is having air and sneha as a bhavana dravya in to the harad churna, and it is the very much preferred drug because of the sneha included within it. Then there is Hingvashtak Churna, then there is Avipattikar Churna for the amount of you can say the patient, whatever sort of burning in the chest the patient is having when he is constipated. So sometimes we have to go for, most of the times we prefer Ayurveda medicines, and so these are the drugs. Then Triphala Guggul is the drug which we usually use. It acts as an anti-inflammatory drug along with the hemostatic effect it is rendering to the patient. So it is usually the drug of choice in these particular patients of hemorrhoids. So it is given in 2 doses, and for 5 to 7 days it is advocated to be given to the patient. Then Triphala Churna, whatever churnas we prefer for laxation or purgation, it is given according to the body per kg body weight of the patient. Usually 5 grams HS is the doses preferred of Triphala Churna or Gandharva Haritki. Panchasakar is given in small doses because it is a drastic purgative and the patient may suffer with loose motions if this drug is given on say larger scales. So we have to go according to the matra which is indicated, and then there are certain asavarishtas which are preferred. Usually we go for abhayarishta, which is a very much preferred drug in the release of constipation again, and 15 ml BD is the dose along with equal quantities of lukewarm water it is given to the patient. Seeds bath is a very much preferred thing, that is Avgaha Sveda, and you can give Avgaha Sveda with Triphala Kwat. So lukewarm water along with Triphala Churna within it, and then the patient is advocated to be taking the Avgaha Sveda twice to thrice daily, and this will definitely relieve the sphincter spasm whatever with which the patient is suffering, and it is going to relieve the inflammation even which is supervening if any in the pile masses of 2nd to 3rd degree, 4th degree. It is going to regress the size of the hemorrhoids, and it is going to stop the bleeding also. So this is the medication usually which we go for, and as surgeons we usually rely on these drugs and many other drugs. They are there as market preparations, and according to the requirements we have to use it. And most of the times as I say, local applications also we have to go for. And and Panchakshiri Kalka we prefer in prolapse of hemorrhoids, and we have to give max self seeds baths also to the patients. Then there is sometimes we have to go for Ayurveda. In Ayurveda, acharyas have indicated snuhi kshir with haldi application on the hemorrhoids also. There are certain other lepas they have preferred. Then post-operatively there are some PG protocols also which have given to the students for research, like Yashti Madhvadi Ghut Gudapuran to the patients of hemorrhoids post-operatively for pain management, which has been indicated by Acharya Sushruta as a post-op analgesia drug formulation, and we use it regularly to the patients. Then there are Chandanbala Lakshadi Tel preparation, which are used as matra basti in the patients, post-op patients and the routine patients, even of hemorrhoids, if the patients are suffering with pain, and then certain patients who come to us with recurrent constipation, who don't follow the lifestyle, or they are not able to follow the dietary say modifications whatever we suggest, like students or those who stay in hostels, or those who are those who stay away from home, and those who have to manage their diets on the tiffins or the whatever preferences they have available options they have. So then we have to manage them conservatively also, and so the Chandanbala Lakshadhi preparation is the preferred matra basti in these patients. Sometimes you have to go for Tiltel Matra Basti even, or if sometimes post-op wounds need to be managed, so you have to go for Jatyadi Taila Matra Basti even. So these are the certain variety of Tailas, medicated Tailas we prefer in these patients. And then we have to go for Kshara Karma even. So Pratisaraniya Kshara are some of the modalities which Ayurveda offers for these patients, and even there are some PG protocols on these particular modalities Acharya Sushruta has suggested. So there was one PG thesis in our department, and the student has worked on Appamarga Kshara Pratisaran in first and second degree of hemorrhoids, and then Arka Kshara Pratisaran, and both the Ksharas were compared, and they were rendering it was found that both of them were rendering equal results in the regression of hemorrhoids, but these procedures need to be observed need to be performed under observation and under appropriate anesthesia, like local or sometimes even spinal anesthesia needs to be given. And then Agni Karma in hemorrhoids, like Ayurveda or Sushruta has suggested. So it is the cauterization techniques which we have developed now for the hemostatic purposes during surgery. So it is the Agni Karma advocated by Sushruta, which we are performing in each and every patient of hemorrhoid during surgery. And then Shastra Karma, what Acharya Sushruta has suggested. So as I have said, Shastra Karma we perform in many ways, like I have already highlighted the use of sclerotherapy, sclerosants, then use of surgery like Milligan-Morgan method of hemorrhoidectomy, or transfixation and ligation method of surgery, or there can be laser hemorrhoidopexy or hemorrhoidoplasty, or there can be cryosurgery also, which is very rarely performed nowadays. But then these are all and there are so many other techniques also. So these are all the preferred methods of surgery. So according to Acharya Sushruta, who has given the Chatu Sutri for the management of hemorrhoids, so most of these techniques, all of these techniques rather, I can say we are following, and we being the followers of Ayurveda and me being the Ayurveda follower of Sushruta, I must say that I am very much glad to be managing these patients of hemorrhoids in all the possible ways I can as a practitioner, or as a say proctologist, or as a surgeon, anorectal surgeon. I am very much glad to be managing these patients, to be treating these patients in every possible way. Rather, maybe it is conservative management, or maybe it is a surgical management, maybe it is a post-op management, or maybe it is a pre-op management. Then there are certain methods of management of surgery, like management of these patients prior to surgery. Like when the patient comes to us with thrombosis or complications, we have to immediately take the patient for leech therapy, because this is a modality which has been highlighted by Acharya Sushruta, where the patients are afraid of surgery, or where the patients are delicate, or when the patients are pediatric patients, or when the patient is a lady who is afraid of surgery, or who are all those who are unfit for surgery. So all these principles are followed, and I am very much glad to be treating these patients of thrombosed hemorrhoids with application of leeches as a tools for pain management and the regression of inflammation. And because these patients are actually not indicated immediately for surgery because of the thrombosis, and then we have to manage the patients with leech therapy for immediately, and for certain sessions, like 2 sessions, 3 sessions of leech therapy, each day 1 session, and then after 4 to 5 sessions this patient is managed absolutely, and then we can go for, after the regression of hemorrhoids and after the regression of inflammation and regression of the thrombosis, then we can go for surgery. So here we are practicing leech therapy in thrombosed hemorrhoids, in inflamed sentinel tag of the fissure when the patient is chronic and patient comes to you with inflamed ST. There are certain females who come to me. I have one patient who was almost 8 months, complete 8 months of pregnancy. She came to me with severe pain in the inflamed ST, and she was crying with pain. And then I applied this patient with leeches, and immediate pain relief is observed. This is the factor which needs to be understood and which needs to be highlighted while treating the patients, so that we can practice leech therapy very much safely in these patients. So pregnancy, actually, if it is complicated, it is not an indication for leech therapy. But when the uncomplicated pregnancy comes to you, patient comes to you with hemorrhoids or with such inflamed sentinel tag and all, you can straightway go for leech therapy as a pain management tool. And the patient, if the VAS scale was assessed, when the VAS scale was assessed, it was 8 to 9. And when immediately after leech therapy, when I asked the patient to assess her pain according to the visual analog scale, and the patient immediately told that she was having the pain very much reduced up to 3 or even 2, you can say. So this is the amount of pain relief the patient is getting after leech therapy, and ultimately our aim is to keep the patient pain free. Maybe the patient is having the condition in acute stage or chronic or post-op. The ultimate aim of treatment should be that the patient should be relieved of the symptoms which are causing trouble or discomfort to the patient, and the ultimate aim is giving relief. So ya kriya vyadhiharani sa chikitsa, as Acharya Charak has said. So every possible conservative management should be targeted in the management of the symptoms of the patient and giving relief in the symptoms. So with all these things in mind, I am practicing Ayurveda and practicing Ayurveda Shalya Tantra and proctology and leech therapy and so many other things since last 25 years, and I'm very much glad to be sharing all these things on this platform. And I'm very much even feeling honored that I'm here on Ayush Darpan Foundation of India today on World Piles Day, sharing my views on the management of hemorrhoids according to the Ayurveda options, and also the integrated options whatever we are having today. So thank you very much. I am very much happy to be here, and very soon even I'll be coming again with another topic. So thank you. Goodbye. Namaste from this side. Namaste. Jai Ayurveda.